Okay. Oh, good morning. Good morning. Only woke up like 20 minutes or so ago. But if I want to stream today, I should do it now because in 4.5 hours I have to go to the DMV and get my ID renewed. So I only have so much time. So I want to just get right into it. It's been a little while since I've really started my day immediately by streaming. Back during Terraria Calamity, I would do it almost every day though. And I was hooked on that. So let's see. Last time, Kumasawa and Nanjo died. So let's just do a quick living body count. Now we got Kinzo, not like he matters much. We got the 3 kids, because Jessica's gone. 3 servants, Rosa, and of course Beatrice. Thanks, Beatrice. You definitely count as part of the survivors. I can't believe it. Are you saying that's the truth? Yes. We've told you everything as we saw it. George folded his arms and started mumbling again. The kitchen was once again wrapped in a long silence. George-sama, I'm fully aware how hard it must be for you to believe all that so suddenly. After all, even though I saw it with my own eyes, I grow less and less sure what it was I actually saw. I'm sure I saw it, and I'm sure I got into a fight too. And yet, I almost feel like it was all an illusion. I see. So that's why you couldn't go into the details in front of Aunt Rosa. If you actually told her what you just told me, you'd probably be in even more trouble. Yeah, Genji-san really did handle that one composedly, didn't he? So, just now Rose has decided to kick out the servants and send them to the kitchen. And George decided to go with them. So we have a group over here consisting of the remaining servants. Shannon, Goda, and Genji, and George. And there's 3 people, 3 people in the other group. Battler, Maria, and Rosa. If only I had the power to explain it myself. George had not actually seen it, and even when pressed to believe, he just couldn't imagine it. It was only natural, because even the people who had actually seen it had given up asking themselves what it was. Let's rewind the story a bit. Shannon, you said that when you thought Kadenkin was an imposter, you picked up some spiderwebs and came back, right? Why did you do that? That's right, I was thinking about that as well. Why spiderwebs? I happened to hear it from Kurosawa-san once. A long time ago, evil spirits lived on Okenjima, and they, feared spiderwebs. And they say there's a legend that people treasured spiderwebs as amulets. And, right at that moment, I think I was also a bit confused. When it comes to those old stories, Kurosawa was very knowledgeable. Well, spiders are very useful bugs after all. Yes, it wouldn't be at all strange for a belief system like that to come into being. I'm sure that the Tori Shrine was suppressing the power of those evil spirits. And because the spirit mirror was broken, that power came back. That power must be what allowed Beatrice-sama to revive. If I, weak-hearted as I am, hadn't done such an outrageous thing, you don't need to tell everyone. I guess George knows. Pass through if you're gonna go on, huh? No, no. No, you can't have lappies right now, sorry. Come on, out of the way. Back up a little. Oh, you back up. Shannon, you don't have to worry about that anymore. I don't blame you for it. She just wants to sit and watch, I guess. Since long ago, Shannon had often suggested that there was some kind of occult cause for her meeting with George. After listening to her, George had grown to think that she was being a typical girl. Wow, George. Associating love with fate, chance, and miracles. He did think that smashing the spirit mirror offered at the Tori Shrine was taking it a bit far, but he'd laughed it off and forgiven her, thinking of it as just a prank that showed how serious she was about a relationship with him. Just breaking a mirror in some musty shrine wouldn't have changed the fate of our meeting, and it would never cause any curse. He tried to cheer her up, saying it was only a musty mirror covered in dust. Ever since I started working on this island, I've heard the story of a spirit called Beatrice-sama from several co-workers. In the beginning, I thought it was ridiculous, but since it would appear indiscreet to say anything out loud, outwardly I conducted myself as though I also believed it. But could it really? She existed. Beatrice-sama was in this mansion all along, but she lost her powers and wasn't able to appear before us. She did exist all this time. It's just that we couldn't see her. I'd like to hear Genji-san's opinion. I have no opinion. All I want to say is that, at that time, there were 5 of us in this room. Then, I thought that Cannon had returned through the back door. After that, we carried him to the servant room. Something happened, and now Dr. Nanjo and Kubisawa will never come back to us. That is all. We have already explained everything we saw. I understand how unreasonable it would be to try and force belief from one who didn't witness those events, such as herself. How could he believe it? I was sure it was Cannon-san, but it got up from the bed, and that's right, when it started to grope about that wound in its chest in that manner, I felt sure that it wasn't Cannon-san, but something else. I doubt you'll be able to understand, George-sama. The terror of that moment, when the person I thought I knew well exposed that it was, in fact, someone else entirely. I can't explain. I can't explain it at all. I understand. I can tell that whatever happened, it was terrifying enough to give you a shock. Thank you very much, George-sama. And they all fell silent again. Shin kept crying no matter how many times she was consoled, thinking that listening to the witch's sweet whispers and breaking the spirit mirror on that day had been the mistake that ruined everything. The witch who whispered these things to you loses her powers if that mirror exists, right? I think she explained it to me a little, but I don't really remember. I think she said something about how she couldn't release her power as long as that mirror existed. What happened to this mirror that you broke? I don't remember. I left it behind when I broke it, so it's probably just how I left it. So when, as they say, the reef was struck by lightning and disappeared, it must have sank to the bottom of the ocean. Well, I doubt picking it up and taping it together would make it start working again. What have I done? Sorry, I shouldn't have said that. Good try. Good try. You didn't know if Shannon breaking the mirror really had started all this off. The servants didn't blame Shannon, they all seemed to believe that her actions had been the root cause. But even now, George wasn't able to get that far. Wasn't able to go that far. All this talk about witches and evil spirits just sounded fake to him, even though he was trying to be open-minded. Even so, he listened seriously to Shannon's story, trying to find a hint that might relieve at least a little of the pain in her heart. Come to think of it, though it's surely different from the one in the Itori, I have heard that Madame keeps a spirit mirror as a charm. Really? Aunt Natsuhi? Yes, I believe she received it as a memento from her grandfather or something, and that it functioned as a powerful ward against magic. A spirit mirror of high pedigree, I think? I have also heard the same story. Something about the mirror having the power to reflect that which is not good and send it back. Okay, George. If we had that spirit mirror, spirit mirror, would we resist Beatrice since she's a witch? Huh? When George proposed this, the servants looked up. The shrine and the Itori, where it was kept, are gone now, but the important thing is that there's still another spirit mirror. I've heard that Aunt Natsu's family is descended from Shinto priests. Maybe that isn't just a simple mirror. I'm sure I've heard Madame say she keeps it in a treasure box. It might not be very large. I don't think its size is a problem. Even the mirror I broke was just a small, insignificant-looking thing. If our opponent is occult, then we'll have to use the occult to fight back. Sitting around here won't solve anything. It's worth trying, if only for some peace of mind. Of course, this didn't mean George had accepted the witch. However, he thought it'd be necessary to have some kind of purification ceremony to heal the wounds in Shannon's heart. So this story about Natsu's spirit mirror was really convenient. Let's go. I won't say anything crazy like, let's go get it and finish off the witch. However, I think it'd be useful to have some sort of charm that can protect us from her. Maria-chan told me about it earlier, but the door to grandfather's room was supposed to be able to repel magic, right? That's our grandfather for you. It means he was pretty good on defense when it comes to the occult. Let's go. To Aunt Natsu's room. But I think Madame's room is locked. We returned the master keys to Rosa-sama. Even the key box in the servant room is now locked away. In that case, Aunt Natsu should have had a key on her person. Aunt Natsu's corpse should still be in the chapel. We probably shouldn't be disturbing it before the police come, but we can give a full explanation later. If you're just doing this to make Shannon feel better, do you really think that going and messing with the corpses to get a key is worth it? However, the entrance to the chapel is also locked. Koro-san, can't you break a single glass window with your physical strength? You could smash it with a nearby rock. But would it, really be okay to break the window of that important chapel? When grandfather gets mad at us, I'll take responsibility. From the beginning, I've been ready to fight the whole Ushina family today. I've got to get them to accept my engagement. To you. So I've been prepared from the start. Let's break the glass. Then let's borrow the key from Aunt Nancy's corpse. George's announcement that he'd take responsibility seemed to have given the servants a great deal of courage. Shannon and Goda looked at each other, then looked at George's face again. Grandfather knows everything about the occult. I'm sure he'll understand if it's the power of Aunt Nancy's spirit mirror we're talking about. Don't worry, he won't get mad at you. I wonder if Madame's mirror will really be able to seal Beatrice's son once again. I don't know, but I think it's worth trying. So let's go. It's getting darker and darker outside. Quickly. Shannon, get a flashlight. Go to Sand, find something that looks like it can break the glass. Sorry, Genji, but can you be on umbrella duty? Yes, sir. The servants, who had been rejected by Rosa, gained a new master that started to move. George, who was normally calm and gentle, was now radiating dignity. Shannon checked the emergency flashlight, just in case she changed the batteries. Koro was testing several heavy-looking cooking tools. Normally, a highly priced chef like him wouldn't want to use them for something other than their intended purposes. But now he was frantic to fulfill the orders of the one he accepted as his master. After some worrying, he took a large, thick-feeling frying pan. Genji removed several umbrellas from the umbrella stand set in the corner near the kitchen door. He took 3 of them. Genji-san? I cannot go with you. It would be embarrassing for me, as the head servant of the Ushimura family, if we were all gone when an order is given. But Genji-san, even you must understand how dangerous it is to be alone in this mansion now. I cannot go. I must remain here, so that the master can call for me at any time. Genji-san, go and obey George-sama. Be careful not to make any blunders. Goda, I am counting on you to set an example. Yes, leave it to me. I will surely fulfill my duty. I love Genji. Genji's like one of the best badasses here. Honestly. You're sure about this, right, Genji-san? Yes, I am already at this age. All the days of my life until now have been spent repaying the debt of the master. I'll have to see a spin-off on Genji's youth. Your roulette will decide the fate of a senile old man like myself. I will sit here and see what the result will be with my own eyes. As Genji said that, he sat down. As though saying that he didn't intend to discuss this anymore, his gaze fails to the chessboard that he played Nanjo on. When George saw this, he decided to leave Genji there. Let's go, everyone. Looks like the wind has died down a bit for now. And George took an umbrella and dashed down the hallway. Shannon and Goda chased after him, each holding a tool. After they floated the room, Genji quietly stretched his hand out to the side of the chessboard. He softly pulled something there toward himself, covering it with his palm. Genji killed his breathing even more than before. As he did, something flashed gold. From inside an ice pail set on the counter, a small gold butterfly appeared softly and silently. It was almost as though it had seen George and the rest off, and was trying to secretly chase after them. It happened in an instant. The elegant gold butterfly, flapping its wings, was pinned against the wall by the knife Genji threw, just like a butterfly in a bug collection. After the gold butterfly beat its wings several times, looking like it was in pain, it accepted the fact that it couldn't break free, became fine gold powder and smoke, and disappeared as though it had melted into water. Like I said, Genji's kind of a badass. Genji still gazed down at the chessboard as though nothing had happened. Maybe he would think of a brilliant move very soon, but no matter what move he made, his opponent would not be able to respond for all eternity. Even though he knew that, Genji searched for a brilliant move. It must have been the perfect way to kill time, during the short period before some fate would be given to him. He didn't know what result the roulette would bring about, but that decision would be made very soon. No one could interfere with a tumbling roulette ball. I'll miss you, Genji. Can't play foreshadowing, though. The door to the parlor was not only locked, but blocked with a barricade made of sofas and the like. Because of that, Aunt Rosa seemed to suspect that any suspicious person approaching would break in through the window. Sitting on a one-person sofa, her back to the door, she continued to hold onto her gun. I didn't know what was what anymore, and even though my body and mind were worn out, I played with Maria as she wanted. Maria had said it. Beatrice was testing us to see if we could solve the epitaph of the gold, so we had to try and figure out this riddle. Just have to check. I don't know what that sound is. So, I started the sink up a little while ago for the cats to sip some water out of it because they like doing that. And it turns out the sink is clogged, so it was like starting to fill up, and I was hearing the water splash in the sink. It's the drip. So that's a thing I'll have to deal with, unclogging the sink. Sometime soon. In the beginning, I was a little interested in trying to solve it, but I didn't have a clue where to start in this weird text. I didn't doubt that there was some riddle hidden there, but I seriously doubted I'd be able to suddenly leap to an answer. In the middle part of the epitaph, we see lines going from the 1st to the 10th twilight, telling us to journey to the Golden Land. On the 1st twilight, all were the 6 chosen by the key's sacrifices. On the 2nd twilight, those who remain shall tear apart the 2 who are close. It was obvious that this hinted at the first 6 murders that had already happened in the chapel, and Jessica and Kanenkun's murders. If this was being followed, we still had to be prepared for 5 more people to be killed. On the 4th twilight, gouge the head and kill. On the 5th twilight, gouge the chest and kill. On the 6th twilight, gouge the stomach and kill. On the 7th twilight, gouge the knee and kill. On the 8th twilight, gouge the leg and kill. Dr. Nanjo Kurosawa Bachan's corpse has still haven't been found. However, if this follows the pattern, and they're the sacrifices for the 4th and 5th twilights, they'll surely be found in a pitiful state with their head and chest gouged. So, can we expect that 3 more of us will be gouged in the stomach, knee, and leg, and killed? Who will it be? I looked around the room, noticing that there were 3 people here, but how should I put it? My emotions seemed paralyzed. Strangely, I didn't feel frightened. As I leaned against the sofa with the top part of my body, gazing up at the ceiling, Moria noticed. Apparently, she felt I was slacking off in my riddle solving. She got mad at me for not taking this seriously enough. Hey, Moria. Ooh. What was it again that Beatrice said she'd do if we solved this? I'm sure the witch wrote in her letter that she'd give up on collecting interest, or something abstract like that. I optimistically took that to mean she'd give up on killing the whole family, but was it really written with that meaning? For some reason, I couldn't convince myself that solving the riddle would really save me. I feel like maybe, even if we do solve it, we'll just be doing what the culprit wants, and it'll all be a wasted effort. No, that's not true. If you solve the epitaph, Beato's ceremony will end. So after that, no more people will die. Really? Isn't that rule just something she made up? Whoever solves this riddle will probably learn the location of Grandfather's hidden gold. Then she'll definitely go after it, and... Ooh, she won't go after it. How can you be so sure? The gold has been Beatrice's from the beginning. She wouldn't go after something that's hers. Then why is Beatrice giving us all these big hints? Not just that, why did she even set up this game-like thing? Risk is essential for magic. Risk. I don't really know what you mean. For example, in a marathon, do you think a medal anyone can get by running the whole thing is worth the same as the medal given only to the person who gets first? No, I don't. So what does this mean? In the end, she's just playing with us? Purposefully giving us a chance? Wrong. That's how magic works. No matter how great a work of magic is, it'll always have risks and weak points. No, it must have them. I don't get the stuff you call magic, but if I think about it as a gamble, I can understand a little. If you aren't prepared to lose big, then you can't win big. And the slimmer the chances of winning, the bigger the payoff. That's right, and Beato really did explain the risk of the ceremony to everyone. So if this riddle is solved, the ceremony will be suspended. After all, if she breaks her promises, there wouldn't be any risk. If we solve this, will she really keep her promise? Why are flowers beautiful, even though they wither? Why is it that an artificial flower isn't beautiful, no matter how elaborate it is, even when you can't tell the difference by looking? Humans can bring about miracles by gambling on their deaths. If an undying human existed, they have no way of bringing about a miracle. That goes for us, way for the witch and the ceremony too. It's kind of a dark way of thinking though. I don't know about that. If we don't bear a risk, we can't succeed in anything. What do we do if we solve the riddle? Should we raise a hand and cry, I got it, tell the witch our answer and see what she says? Ooh, I don't know about that. But if we solve it, the ceremony will surely end automatically. You sure know a lot, Maria. Did you learn all that from Beatrice? Ooh. Atler understands that means yes when she smiles. So, if you don't bear a risk, nothing can be gained. Is that it? That definitely is the way of the world, but it's sort of in conflict with the chessboard thinking I like so much. At least when making moves in chess, players go for the best move, always trying to avoid a risk and hoping for an advantageous turn of events. They don't trust a chance, like in gambling. That's right, there's no room for gambling in an intellectual game. That's absolutely not true. That's definitely not true at all. People call Pokemon an intellectual game, right? Bet at a Pokemon, there's gambling in there. Absolutely. And yet, this person called Beatrice has created such an outrageous crime. Or maybe a ceremony, while purposefully imposing conditions for her own loss and announcing them to us. In chess, you always play your best move. So by putting yourself in your opponent's position, you could predict their next move. Gotta get my breath back. However, we can't be sure that Beatrice's moves are always the best moves possible. I thought she was probably making us focus on the epitaph to fool us in some way, speaking in riddles. But according to Maria, that alone was impossible. She said that this was a genuine risk that the witch had taken, and therefore proof that this was a formal ceremony for magic. I can't understand this witch called Beatrice. If she's committing this chain of murders with some goal in mind, why did she go to all the trouble of exposing the conditions for her defeat? No matter how I spin the chessboard around and think from my opponent's perspective, I can't understand why she'd give up if this riddle is solved. Isn't it almost as though Beatrice doesn't care whether she wins or loses? Of course, chessboard reason won't work against an opponent like that. I don't understand. What is Beatrice after that's making her carry out this crime? If she just wanted to mask herself, she could have done it quietly without this whole crazy setup. There was no need for that kind-hearted advance notice, all this self-over-closed dream stuff, or any of the rest. It's all overacting. I've got no clue what it means. Will I be unable to understand everything, as long as I keep thinking of Beatrice as a greedy human culprit? If I don't accept her as a witch, will my chessboard thinking be stuck before I've even lined up the pieces? If she really is a witch and everything Maria said is true, then there's only one thing for us to do. The theory building in Discord and searching for the culprit has all been pointless. Umineko Discord pointless. We should have all gathered in the dining hall, combining our knowledge to solve the riddle. By combining the knowledge of that many people, we might have been able to grasp at least a thread of the answer. The greedy humans, each desiring to gain something over their opponents, were getting offered up as sacrifices one by one, without gathering their knowledge together. In the end, did the humans get what they deserved? They thought they were using their brains, but they were actually thinking only of their greedy selves. In the end, chessboard theory is a thinking technique where you project yourself on your opponent, so greedy people see their greedy selves inside their opponents. I looked lazily at Aunt Rosa. She was probably tired from being under all this tension the whole time. She couldn't sleep, but she kept staring vaguely at some point off in space. Aunt Rosa had announced that we couldn't trust anyone who had been killed. Aunt Rosa's chessboard thinking saw herself inside her opponent. In other words, maybe Aunt Rosa was an isolated woman, unable to trust anyone and unable to let her guard down. Long ago, I think I heard a bit about it from my dad. Aunt Rosa was originally a very obedient child, but her age was too far separated from the other siblings, and they often made conflicting demands of her during their confrontations. Thanks to this, she'd undergone a lot of psychologically harsh experiences in her youth. Often, when she copied one of her siblings, another sibling would give her a hard time. True, Aunt Rosa said many things that could be taken as abusive. That means those words were once showered upon her, which is why they were engraved in her vocabulary. The many abusive words that she'd spoken were also words that she'd been showered with in the past. Now that I think about it, I picked up traces of Uncle Kraus and Aunt Ava in her style of speech from time to time. I assumed they were similar because they were siblings, but maybe it's more than that. For the first time, I truly sympathized with Aunt Rosa, who I'd once thought was warm and gentle all the time. Then what about Maria? Maria's been making a certain claim for a while now. If we can solve the riddle the witch displayed to us, the ceremony will be halted and will definitely be saved. And I think she also said that Beatrice will never break a promise. But this is Maria we're talking about. She herself never breaks promises, and she has the most innocent heart. So she believes Beatrice also won't break her promises. She's able to believe that. Isn't that just an image of Beatrice in Maria's mind? There's no proof that the real Beatrice always keeps her promises, right? I keep my promises. If you solve the riddle of the epitaph, you should be able to reach the Golden Land. When you do, the ceremony will end. No more people will die. Hold on, we have another one to add. The list grows longer and longer. Oh, I didn't hit save. There we go. I keep my promises. What a worthless list, honestly. I think it's going to be shorter for the other episodes and a bit more manageable. So you're saying a complete monster like you follows the rules. I won't deny that I am brutal and unjust and a monster. However, I am a witch. I use magic. In order to use magic, there are some rules that must be followed. Because I'm a witch, I cannot neglect those. You should believe at least that much. So even after all the crazy stuff you've done, you're still telling me to believe at least in the rules? I do play tricks. Of course, I also deceive people. I'm no different from humans in that regard. But not once have I disregarded a promise I've spoken. What about humans? Do you always keep your promises? Since we have catchphrases like keep your promises, it's hard to imagine that we always follow them properly. From my perspective, humans are the truly selfish monsters. There's nothing as dubious as a human's promise. Even I sometimes make contracts with humans, but you wouldn't imagine how strict an agreement must be made just to grant a single foolish wish. If there's even a small loophole, they'll immediately say something like, increase the number of wishes to 100, or go turn yourself into a bean. There's this thing Dad always says. He says there's nothing as scary as contracts. According to him, it's only natural that people who sign without reading them thoroughly will get chewed to the bone. He's made a killing through vice. Imagine it. When people are born, they know nothing of fraud. They get it from somewhere, and so they learn it. Yes, the crimes of the human world, where people must press up against each other. Let me see, I've heard that from a witch somewhere. Oh well, I'm not as heartless as you think, you see. Liar, you killed so many people, and you did it in such horrible ways too. How could you not be heartless? You say you keep your promises? Don't say stuff like that. I won't accept you. Ever. I believe my only way to resist you is never giving up on that. I see. So you're saying this eternal torture will be the same for me? Perhaps. 1,000 years is a long time. Maybe a witch's true strength is decided not by their magical power, but by the strength of their endurance. Yes, I can accept how terrifying Lady Byrne is. Damn you babbling on and on about this incomprehensible stuff. Let's quickly get back to this eternal torture. I'm prepared to stick around for 1,000 years, or even 10,000 years. Good, good. It looks like you regained some of your will to fight. It would be boring otherwise. Come now, don't you often see it in competitive games? Sometimes one player intrudes on their opponent's territory. But the opponent is so weak that it's a bit of an anticlimax. So the first player loses on purpose to extend the game until the last round, during which they get serious and shower their opponent with blows, right? Is that a thing people do? I don't know fighting games really. I only know Smash, and even then, suck. I don't get what that means. It's the same as wine. If you don't let it age well, it won't sparkle. You're the same as that wine. I'll carefully make you age. I'll raise you to be the best alcohol to adorn my elegant time. So don't give up after only this much. Keep on denying me. After all, as long as you don't accept me, I'm nothing more than a fleeting illusion. I can't wait for Beatrice to drink Battler. Don't sleep there. No matter how many times I see it, it's awful. I truly sympathize. Shannon-san, please get the key. Even though she is dead, Madame is a lady. I cannot touch her. Of course. Shannon nodded sharply, her expression filled with a sense of duty. George, Goda, and Shannon had broken a suitable window and were inside the chapel. Since they really hadn't wanted to break one, they had searched for another way in just in case. But in the end, after proving once again that there was nowhere they could slip in through, it only became more obvious that this chapel was a mysterious closed room. Inside the chapel, time had stopped ever since the last time they'd left it. Even George wasn't able to approach that gruesome Halloween party again. It was only natural. It reminded him again of the sadness of losing both parents at once. And Goda, thinking of the possibility that those corpses might have changed in some horrible way, now that half a day had passed, didn't want to let George get near them. Shannon followed Goda's instructions and approached the party table. Normally, Shannon might have resented having another dirty job forced on her, but now she could truly understand Goda's mental state. Even though Goda had prodigious skill, he had gotten dragged into trouble, losing his job and ending up left out in the streets before Natsuki gave him a new life. Though it had been just a casual employment decision for Natsu, Koro must have thought it a turning point in his fate. Those around Goda could see that he felt a special kind of loyalty. Natsu. So he probably didn't want to lose that feeling, even after her death. Now that half a day had passed, the bodies of Natsu and the rest had changed completely. Small bugs, sniffing at the smell of death, had started to gather. It really wasn't something you'd want to look at directly. Madam, excuse me. Because of her long experience as a servant, Shen had an idea of which pocket Natsu kept the key to her room in. It would probably be this pocket. Her guess didn't fail her. Just by touching the outside of the pocket, she was immediately able to feel it. It's here. The key to Madam's room. Shannon held the key up high, showing the others that it had been found. As George and Goda watched her, their eyes opened wide. That wasn't the expression Shannon was expecting, so it startled her. After all, Shannon hadn't noticed. George and Goda, watching from afar, noticed it first. When Shannon held the key up high, a blizzard of gold leaf had seeped up from around the table. They were countless gold butterflies. It was the first time George had seen them, so it might have looked like some kind of illusion. But Goda already knew. He knew that those gold butterflies were far from beautiful, and that it would bring about some kind of misfortune. And that gold swelled, trying to suck Shannon in. Shannon-san, run. Huh? Yeah. Shannon also realized that gold butterflies were trying to swallow her up. She ran unsteadily, her expression still shocked. As she did, the gold butterflies danced around her all at once. They grouped together. They tried to swallow her up. Shannon! Damn it, what is this? Are these the gold butterflies you guys were talking about? Outside, quickly, you bastards. Damn it, damn it. George and Goda rushed up to Shannon, driving off the cloud of butterflies. And while the butterflies were scattered, they ran towards the broken window. However, they needed a good footing to get out the window, which was surrounded by shards of broken glass. When they'd entered, there had been enough time to prepare for that. But now that was done. Let's go out through the door. There's no time to look for a footing. It won't open. It's stuck. Give it to me. Damn this piece of crap. George, come on, quickly. Damn it, don't take me lightly. Whoa. Great. Makes the move right there. Goda took off his jacket, swinging around and scattering the group of butterflies. But saying he was outnumbered would be a real understatement. It was doubtful that it even brought them a short amount of time. George struggled with the broken handle. Its age showed, and it didn't turn well. I can't leave it to strength. It needs the right angle, or there's some trick to it. George, damn it. You monsters. At that moment, Goda saw it. He was seen by it. In other words, their eyes met. At the top of the party table? No, with a stained glass. Behind it, floating, laughing, was the figure of the witch. He saw the figure of the laughing witch in the center of the golden whirlwind, with the gold butterflies fluttering about at the ready. Beatrice. It should have been Goda's first meeting with her, but he knew her at a glance. Just like the other servants had said, this was certainly the witch of the portrait herself. It's almost time for dinner, is it not? I am the host of this mansion now, so I must give you a warm reception before your wonderful dinner. And look, we even have 3 people fit to order. My, how truly convenient. Ooh, it's open. Goda-san, quickly. Beatrice-sama. Huh? Are you sure it's a good idea to just stand there? If you think this place will make a fitting cemetery for yourselves, then be my guests. I must praise your spirit for wanting to stay by your former master's sides and serve them even after death. The golden whirlwind that wrapped around the witch burst. It was like an evil hand that literally spread its fingers and was trying to attack them. The cloud of gold butterflies attacked with a fluttering sound. Hurry, we can't stay here. George's voice brought Shannon and Goda back to their senses. Standing here now would make them like frogs getting stared down by a snake. They had to resist. They had to fight this incarnation of the brutal and frightening order in which Kenjima had been enveloped. There was no time to take out their umbrellas. 3 of them dashed out into the pouring rain. 3 of them never realized, because they didn't turn around, but the gold butterflies apparently couldn't handle the rain too well, and this hampered their ability to chase after the humans. The 3 people ran from their golden pursuers and flew into the mansion. How nice, how nice. It wouldn't be as fun any other way. First time this song's come up so far, but this one's nice. I don't know what it's called. They unlocked the door and dashed into the room. A bit of the scent from Natsu's favorite gentle incense remained in there. However, there was no time to let that calm them now. Where is it? You said it was in a treasure box, right? It's just a story I heard. I never heard exactly where it was. I think it'll probably be in her dresser or next to the bed. Shannon's womanly sensibilities led her to conclude that. But next to the bed, there was only an incense burner, a half-read novel, and glasses. However, the dresser was elegant and had many drawers, and yet would be understandable if she had kept some of her valuables there. Natsu, sorry. He began to violently open each one of the drawers. He had to hurry. He could naturally hear footsteps, but he had the feeling that the witch was approaching. He had the feeling that her laugh was approaching. He emptied the drawers one by one and examined their contents. Every small box for makeup looked like a treasure box. The amount of effort it would take to inspect all of them made him feel a little dizzy. But maybe it's this box. It's locked and I can't open it. At a glance, it looked slightly larger than a music box. When shaken, it rustled as though very small objects were inside. It was locked and didn't open. Normally, you'd hide the key somewhere nearby, though some people would always carry it on their person. I don't know. There's no choice. Break it. But we can't do it with force, right? We might break the mirror inside. Could there be a tool to pry it open? Damn it. Koro looked all over the room, trying to see if there was some tool they could use. And he noticed the door, which had been left open ever since they'd entered. He pressed the door to close it, and saw the abominable shadows of people approaching from beyond the darkness in the hall. No, it wasn't shadows of people, because they weren't human at all. George-sama. Hurry. But his voice trailed off. It was the shock of seeing a procession of those not of this world. He was a servant, so he knew all the servants working for the Ushimura family. But he didn't know about these. However, they were definitely servants, and not servants working for Ushimura Kinzo or Ushimura Kraus. The Goatmen. These new servants, who worked for the new master of the mansion, the Golden Witch Beatrice, had goat heads and bright red boiled eyes of lava. As the new master laughed loudly and trimly directed 6 of the new servants, he saw them approach, piercing the darkness as they came. Of course, she was clad in the gold butterflies that were her symbol. But hurriedly closed the door and locked it. Or just as he locked it, it returned to normal, just as though a spring or something had knocked it back. It gave the illusion that some prankster beyond the door was unlocking it every time he locked it. They couldn't reach the other side of the door yet. So who was doing it and how? Almost felt like playing with a broken toy. Click, boing, click, boing. It won't lock. Even if I lock it, it unlocks. What's going on? Damn it. Yeah, did you think a lock would stop me? Did you think the door to that room could hold back that room's new master? It was like the witch could see Gota's frantic effort through the door. Even now, the footsteps continued to approach. And one not just for their footsteps, but even their breath could be heard. Gota gave up on the lock and slammed into the door, locking using his own large body. Kurosama, quickly! Kurosama, what about this? Butter opener? That's better. Let me have it. The fountain pen isn't working. George took it once again, dug into the crack under the lid of the treasure box. It looks like it's working. Quickly! Eat! Wah! The pressure from across the door grew even stronger. Gota screamed. This wasn't a war cry during a test of strength. He was terrified. He was simply terrified that nothing but a single wooden door was stopping him from touching something out of this world. But he was still lucky. He wasn't touching the things directly, because they were on the other side of the door. So if he were to touch them directly, Gota's cry would surely turn from something brave into a pathetic piercing scream, and therefore one that was more real. Koro couldn't believe what was happening right before his eyes. Coming through the door, an arm was slipping straight through the wood like it was water, as though doing this was the most natural thing in the world. And it rubbed the back of Gota's hand as he frantically tried to pull the door shut. It slid up his arm to his chest and then up to his chin. Go ahead. Every day. Resume. By now, Gota's scream wasn't even audible anymore. He could hear a sweet whispering voice from across the door. It wasn't coming from the witch, but it sounded like a young woman. However, that didn't change the fact that it came from someone not of this world. So cute. Hey, you see it, right? Your life flashing before your eyes. Let me know when it's over, okay? Eek. Thanks. Hey Gex. It's over already, isn't it? Fancy Umineko effects. I forget which one of the stakes that is, I don't really know them by their appearance. That lewd arm burst. Then they heard the sound of something jumping around the room at incredible speed. They didn't know what it was. Incredibly fast, small, like steel, or maybe a beetle. When it buried itself in the center of Koto's chest and stopped, he realized for the first time that its true form was something like a stake with a strange design on it. Koto's large body shook, went backwards, and fell over. As it did, the door opened softly, even though no one was pushing it, welcoming in the new master of this room. It looked almost as though the door itself had its scepter. The goat attendants came in one after another, 6 of them. Then that witch came in, and the gold butterflies came in. The room was wrapped in a blizzard of gold leaf, which fell and piled up, turning it more and more into a world of gold. Shannon, the ruler has chosen you and George. Thank me for your day of release. Do you have any regrets? You don't, do you? Receiving an engagement ring from the man you fell for? And then being killed before spending your first night together? That hardly counts as a regret at all, right? Is there some sort of halo sending thing here? You wanted him to hold you, didn't you? You wanted him to teach you a woman's joy, right? Kuya. No, Shannon, you're dribbling, see? Your regret is dripping down from your mouth. I can see it dribbling down from your mouth, Shannon. Yeah. Oh, the swords, yeah. I've always kind of thought that too. I don't really know what else to compare them to besides, like, Halo swords. For all I know, maybe there's, like, some other thing that kind of inspired them, but... yeah, as good of a guess as any, honestly. It was the sound of the lid to the treasure box breaking open. When George turned it over, accessories, charms, very small objects that Natsu had treasured when she was a girl, fell out. Mixed in with that was a pouch that stood out from the rest. He picked it up and was immediately sure. This was it. I found it. This is it. So close and yet so far. Die. Damn it. All at once, the gold butterflies attacked George, who was hurriedly trying to remove the contents of the pouch. Something new. At that time, a bright red flash seemed to light up the room for an instant. The red flash seemed to cut a hole in the cloud of gold butterflies raging out the room, drawing a circle with Shannon at the center. So the resulting scene looked truly divine, almost as though a single streak of light had cut through the clouds in this world of gold. George, who was curled in a ball, trying to protect himself from the group of butterflies, didn't have a clue what was going on. Then he noticed that Shannon was standing guard in front of him, shielding him, as she glared at the witch and the rest with a serious face she'd never shown him before. I'd forgotten. You're another sample of Kinza's standing furniture. And you matured much more than Canon. How could you do that to Canon-kun? I don't mean killing him. How could you erase his remains, and even try to disgrace his honor? Come now, Shannon. Is that why you're mad? If you're lonely because Canon hasn't been around, just let me know, and I'll let you see him whatever you like. Power level is that is above that of Canon's. When the witch snapped her fingers, one of the 6 gold attendants glittered gold and changed into Canon. It was definitely a sight to make one doubt their eyes. It was definitely Canon's face. However, in those eyes, the glint of Canon's integrity was nowhere to be seen. They were the hazy eyes of furniture that only obeyed the orders of the witch. George couldn't understand the scene right before his eyes. Not sure if that's been made or not. Then he finally understood why Koro and the rest had been unable to talk about what they'd seen in the servant room. Are you enjoying this? Yes, I am. It's always fun to reunite a pair that have been torn apart by death. After all, I get to enjoy tearing them apart by death, reuniting them, and then tearing them apart again. So, Kenna, go and play with your sister. If she knocks you about, let her see you suffer with all the anguish you can manage. From the imposter Kennan's arm, a strangely shining curve extended. He planned to tear Shannon apart with that. With a single stroke, he would attack Shannon, who still hadn't prepared her heart, and... I won't forgive you. I'll never forgive you for dishonoring the dead not just once, but twice. Enough babbling. Go get killed by your brother Shannon. I'm sure you'll bear witness to a wonderful dream. I miss Halo 2. Played a lot of Halo 2 with like high school friends back in the day. That game was so good. The imposter cannon certainly seemed to lunge at Shannon, drawing several purple curves. But when he flew at her, it was as though some kind of invisible wall had been placed in front of her. The wall repelled the imposter, leaving a bright red ripple on its surface. No, it didn't repel him, it smashed him. It knocked him back, turning him into golden dust, into little bits, scattering him. That foolish furniture, who had taken Cannon's form and even disgraced his honor before death, broke into countless gold butterflies, and then those butterflies themselves broke into pieces. Those pieces were broken into pieces, until they were no longer butterflies. The golden splash that faded away. Music can calm down a little, maybe? Might be nice. Shannon. George-san, please don't move from that spot. I don't want to shift the central axis. Axis? Well, this is certainly a surprise. So though your face makes it look as though you wouldn't hurt a fly, you can display such power? I see, so that spirit mirror is lending you strength. But you don't have the tools or the time to draw out its true power. I won't let you have either of those. The spirit mirror George gripped had let out a divine glow, displaying a strength powerful enough not to submit to wicked forces. But that glow was no match for the witch's sinister nature. This is why furniture can be frightening. That feeling, like unexpectedly stubbing your little toe in the corner of a cabinet. Yes, this is why furniture can be frightening. See, she's got really high defense, and she knows body press. You furniture. I am not furniture, and right now you seem very pitiful to me. What? Oh? What did this furniture, who hasn't even lived 100 years, just say to a 1,000-year-old witch? You're a very pitiful person. Of course, two people in love will have regrets when they're separated. But they'll feel none of that, none of the kind of regret you were hoping for. You dare to speak, furniture? Have you forgotten the days when you were so desperate to be tied to doors that you licked my shoes? Living with love and crawling through the muck is what humans do. If you sneer and look down on them for that, then you're far inferior to them. Especially now, I pity you. How precious is it for a loving couple when they bring their love to fruition by sleeping together on the first night? It does have meaning, it definitely does, but it's completely different from what you're saying. It means something so sacred that one such as you has nerve to speak of it wickedly. So I no longer have any regrets. George-san and I have sworn our love to each other. As proof, I accepted his ring. With that, our eternal vows were completed. No matter how you torture us with your wicked magic and your malice, you cannot disgrace eternity. Ha! Don't speak in cheap ideals like some poet. Love is lust, totally meaningless unless you're sleeping together. Men are mere flies and maggots that get drawn to your female scent and crowd around you. Do you still not understand that at your age? You'll despair. The very first time you witness the dark lust of that glasses man behind you. You'll be crushed, shocked, dumbfounded, stupefied. And it's all useless, Shannon. Yeah, that's enough talk out of you, you furniture. Who the hell do you think you are? Talking like that, no matter how beautiful you try to make love sound. In the end, it's a fraud because love is filthy filth. Don't people become adults when they realize that? Die, you trash. Furniture scrap. I'll turn you into a filthy maggot. Then we'll see whether that glasses guy still loves you. I'll show you that this guy's only had his eyes on your flesh. Die, you piece of crap. Don't you tell me about love. I get the feeling Beatrice is jealous. She wishes she had that. The invisible column of light with Shannon at the center started to have bright red ripples drawn all over it at once. Hi, Ferdy, you showed up at an incredible time. The wall did its best to withstand the unseeable malice that tried to corrode it in on them from all directions. What, do you actually think you're resisting? You're insignificant, you're frail, just like your cheap ideals, just a frail pretense. You're just hiding what you don't want to see by covering it with a veil. You still not understand that's why your furniture. See, it's being erased. Crack, crunch, smack, snap, how thin, how shameful. Parmigiano with some Italian. That was advancing on its own, by the way. Oh, I can't even go back and... Oh, I can. No, it's gone. You can't even go back and see that. I think it's like an animation, not text or something. Whatever. We didn't miss too much. The golden windstorm that covered the room gradually began to shave the walls off the column that protected Shannon and George. The bright red ripples frantically drew a resisting pattern, but that just turned it into a red wall of despair that began to wrap the two of them up. Beatrice is pissed. George-san, I'm sorry. It was too much. For me, after all. Yeah, thank you. You fought for my sake. That alone makes me happy. The round wall that had once protected them was assaulted and covered with a curve of bright red ripples as it seemed to scream, and it began to suck the two of them up instead. Put up a good fight, at least. George-san, can I ask a favor? Shannon grasped George's hand behind her, so George hugged her shoulders just as strongly. What is it? In the end, please let me hear you say, I love you. Yeah. Sayo, I will forever... Yeah, no, Beatrice isn't gonna have that. Absolutely not. She has the rage of, like, a teenage girl who just got cheated on. After Genji finished his late meal, he went out to do the nighttime rounds inside the mansion. He'd eaten some reheated soup that Goda had made, along with some random leftovers from the refrigerator. Those were all things Goda had made himself, and were of course delicious. He had half-heartedly gone to ask Rosa and the others what they would do for dinner, but he'd been yelled at by a voice telling him that the canned food they had would be enough, and the door wasn't even opened for him. So ironically, the servant Genji was able to eat a more delicious meal. Let's see. These haven't updated yet since no one's seen what happened there, basically. I'll have to see you later. But why was it Genji? Why was it that Genji wasn't afraid to do the rounds all by himself? Even though all those crimes had been committed and many people had already met a brutal end. Judging by his appearance as he carried out his usual tasks without a trace of fear, as though everything was normal, you might think all the horrible events that day had been no more than a dream or an illusion. Was he taking a philosophic view, or had he just accepted his fate? Genji must have considered it a virtue that, when the fate that awaited him was unavoidable, he'd carry out his duties systematically until the last moment. The depth of his heart would probably remain hidden for all eternity unless he spoke of them himself. He had returned his master key to Rosa, so the places he could reach were extremely limited. All he could do was walk around the hallways, checking to make sure all the windows were closed. That probably made his rounds go a lot faster than usual. So, assuming we did lose 3 people just now, that makes... Just want to do a quick count here. So how many do we lose total? 13, right? We have to lose 13. I didn't mean to switch that. Let's see, 6, 8, yep, 13 total is what we're supposed to lose. We lost the 6, we lost 2 more. 2 more there. If those 3 out there die, then we're done. We've already lost 13 in that case. If we lose Goda, George, and Shannon. At the sound of a reserved knock, Aunt Rosa, who had been falling into a doze, jumped and woke up. Putting the barrel of the gun at the door, she yelled. Who is it? I was napping on the sofa, and that voice also brought me back to reality. Rosa-sama, it is I, Genji. Do you have some business? Don't worry about opening the door. Tell us from there. Yes, ma'am. In that case, forgive me for speaking in this fashion. I found Dr. Najo and Kumasawa's corpses. What did you say? I see. Very well, let's go and check them. Until I see the corpses, I won't believe anyone. Ooh, it's okay, Battler. If you stay with me, it'll definitely be okay. Maybe my face seemed to be darkened with anxiety. Maria grasped my hand with her small hand and spoke softly, trying to give me courage. Since it was Aunt Rose's job to ready the gun and stand guard, it fell to me to remove the barricade of sofas. When I finished, I took a backwards glance at Aunt Rosa, who was pointing the barrel of the gun over my shoulder, and opened the door. Genji-san, where are their corpses? In the courtyard. I shall guide you. Valor couldn't wait. Just in case, let's check the doors and windows of this room. Wait a second. Aunt Rosa called me to a halt to prevent me from going on ahead, and began to carefully check the locks in each of the windows. But those locks had already been checked once. It felt kind of unpleasant, as though she suspected that I might have secretly unlocked them when she wasn't looking. No, maybe Aunt Rosa was right to be this cautious. Though it was called a courtyard, it wasn't really a pretty place you could take a walk in like the Rose Garden. On the contrary, since it was surrounded by the mansion on all sides, it made you feel a little uncomfortable, as though it was telling you that there would be no escape from this mansion, no matter where you tried to run. On the other hand, that meant that even though we could still hear the violent winds, the wind itself was blocked. Genji-san held out an umbrella, but Aunt Rosa ignored him. She was probably hinting that the gun took 2 hands, and it would be dangerous if she took the umbrella. We didn't need Genji-san pointing for us to notice. Right in the center of the courtyard, we could see where Dr. Najo and Kurosawa-san lay. Aunt Rosa entered the courtyard without even opening an umbrella. So Genji and I also entered the courtyard without opening one. Only Maria opened hers. Maria, is this... you know what? Ooh, it's the 7th and 8th Twilights. 7th and 8th, huh? I see. Certainly, just as Genji-san of the other stead, there are horrible wounds on their necks. The cuts are quite sharp, almost as though they were sliced with a katana or something. Those gaping wounds on their necks definitely made me want to avert my eyes, but after seeing that Halloween party in the chapel, even though they looked horrible, they were no longer enough to make me feel sick. More importantly, our gazes fell to their legs, Dr. Nanja's knee, to Kurosawa-san's ankle. Driven to each of them was something like a knife or a stake with a demonic design. It must have been the same as the thing that had pierced Jessica's back. What is this? It's just like what happened to Jessica-chan. Is this supposed to be some kind of occult ceremony, I wonder? I do not know. The last time I saw the bodies, there was nothing like these. Maybe it was then after they were carried out of the server room. The one stuck in Dr. Nando's knee was still standing erect, but the one that had been thrust into Kurosawa-san's ankle might have been a little shallower. It had come out and fallen over. Though by looking at the one that had fallen over for the first time, I realized that it wasn't a knife. It was something like a stake. Its full length was probably about 30 centimeters. It was probably made of bronze or iron or something of the sort. Even without touching it, I could tell it had some weight to it. It was composed of a grip and a cone-shaped part, and it was obviously made to be a piercing weapon. Maybe it was like a miniature version of those lances Western knights used on horseback. The spiral-shaped ditches in it. Is ditches really the right word? Is it like rivets or something? I'm not sure. Made it look like a small drill. However, the grip had an occult design modeled off a demon or something. So instead of a weapon used in war, it felt like something that would be used in a ceremony to offer up living sacrifices. There's no mistake. They're meant to be sacrifices. On the 7th Twilight, Gad is the knee and kill. On the 8th Twilight, Gad is the leg and kill. Wait a sec. That means they've left out the 4th, 5th, and 6th Twilights. Could it be? Of course. Why is Genji-san alone? If something like this has happened, why aren't George Aniki, Go-san, and Shan-chan here? Why was Genji-san alone? What's going on? Where did George and the other two go? They said they wanted to search for something in Madame Natsu's room, and they left. They have not returned yet. What did you say? You say they left, but when was that? 2 or 3 hours ago, I believe. No way. Why didn't you tell us something that... Wait, no. Why didn't you think that was suspicious? There must be at least one servant on standby at all times. It was my duty to wait for orders until they returned. Was Genji-san really this much of a robot? This is bad. This is bad. It's really bad. Dr. Nanjo and Kurosawa-san were killed like this, which means that 3 people have already been killed. We ran towards Natsu's room, with a touch of anxiety and just as much resignation. Before we even saw the inside of Aunt Nancy's room, we were forced to resign ourselves to a certain fact. On the door was a bizarre scribble. No, filth? Anyway, the room wasn't in an ordinary state, and without even opening the door, we could imagine what we'd find inside. On the face of the door, how should I say it? Handprints done heavily with the same red paint as the magic circles from before. Had banged into the door, scratched at it, dirtied it. It looked like the aftermath of a kindergartner playing in the mud. I didn't know what it could mean. The bright red paint that had been slathered on was dripping down. Even though no one said it, it made us think of blood. Genji-san, please open it. Rosa held her gun up high and ordered Genji-san to open the door. Genji-san approached it without seeming particularly troubled by that stuff on it, and turned the knob, but immediately turned around, shaking his head. It was locked. At that moment, there was only one person in this mansion who could lock and unlock doors at will, Aunt Rosa. This time, Genji-san asked Aunt Rosa to unlock the door, instead of the other way around. After frowning slightly for a second, Aunt Rosa handed me a master key and told me to open the door. Would you open it for me with this? Just trusting Genji-san with something like that wouldn't. Aunt Rosa glared at me intensely. Getting into a fight here would only make the mood turn even more sour. Without talking back anymore, I approached that creepy door and tried the knob. It didn't open. It's definitely resistance of the lock. Yep, she's got a gun. A fair few characters get guns at different points. There's a reason why Real requested a gun to be added to Mario in the corner here. For example, I stuck the master key into the keyhole. Clunk. There was a slight resistance. Aunt Rosa told me to be on my guard, and I opened the door without really guarding myself in any way. I was not worried. And then there was a scene laid out for us that didn't betray my expectations at all. Horrible. As I thought, it's a reproduction of the 4th, 5th, and 6th Twilights. Ooh. The inside of the room looked as though a robber had just broken in. Doors had been flung open, pulled out, and had the contents thrown about all over the place, leaving the room so cluttered you'd never believe it belonged to the methodical Aunt Nazi. The very first thing that caught our eyes was Go-to-Sen's corpse lying face down right in front of the door. Right in the center of his chest, almost though it had been stuck there to finish off a vampire, was one of those demon stakes from before. Exactly how far could it have reached after being stuck that deeply into his chest? Just imagining it would make anyone's chest hurt. Wasn't gouging the chest the 5th Twilight? Ooh. Maria grabbed my hand. Her expression looked just like normal, but maybe she really was afraid of the aura in this room where 3 corpses lay. And, along the wall farthest into the room, Joaniki lay dead. This time, one of those stakes had been rammed right into the center of his stomach. Wasn't gouging his stomach the 6th Twilight? Shannon Chan's corpse was face down for the dresser, lying in a sea of blood. Had she seen her own face at the end, in that horribly broken mirror, stained with the blood? Because she was lying that way, I couldn't see her face, but I could guess even without seeing it. Nearby, in the sea of blood she lay in, a demon stake had fallen. Only the 4th Twilight was left. Gouged the head and kill. Maybe my heart was totally worn out and dead. Even though I knew it was wrong, I looked at her head and checked. And I confirmed that my guess had been right in the mark. There was a gaping hole in Shannon Chan's head, and the insides were dripping out. Not only that, but you could even see inside her. After seeing that, I finally realized I was doing something wrong. I immediately averted my eyes, but by now it was probably pointless. I would need even more therapy. Hey, Battlerkid, you mustn't touch anything until the police come. What do you think you're doing, touching it? What will you do if our precious evidence on the scene gets disturbed? Aunt Rosa got violently mad at me and even tugged at the back of my collar. I tottered obliquely and fell on my butt, gazing dimly up at the ceiling. Maria. Who? With this, even the 8th Twilight is over. What was the 9th Twilight again? On the 9th Twilight, the witch shall revive, and none shall be left alive. I see. After this, the Golden Witch Beatrice will be revived. What then? On the final 10th Twilight. On the 10th Twilight, at Journey's End, you shall attain to the power of the Golden Land's treasures, once and for the last time. Very soon, the door to the Golden Land will be opened. Very soon. The witch shall be revived, and none shall be left alive, huh? We're gonna die now? What does this mean? The ceremony of sacrifices is over. And now, at Journey's End, we'll reach the Golden Land? It is our journey. We spent the whole day trying to find the culprit, spinning our heads as we tried to break out of this situation. We haven't gotten anywhere. Like they say, thinking stupid is no better than sleeping. That's right. We've spent the whole day burning ourselves up with hatred and paranoia. We were so sure we could only trust the dead, that we came all the way here just to confirm these 3 deaths with our own eyes. If we're like this, why should we be able to make it to the Golden Land? That's right. If we couldn't resolve any of our problems anyway, it would have been so much better if we'd locked ourselves up the whole time without thinking at all. Grandfather's the wisest of us. He's been shut up in his room since yesterday, without any contact with anyone. That was the right decision. Grandfather was the most correct of us all. It's okay, Battler. If you're with me, you'll be okay. The witch is very fickle, and she's a terrifying being who might kill humans partly for fun sometimes. However, if you're with me, you'll be okay. So don't be afraid. Thank you. Even if you're just saying it to console me, I'm glad. After Aunt Rosa finished investigating the corpses, she announced that she'd seal this room again, chase the rest of us out, stole back the master key she'd lent me, and lock the door again. Apparently, Joaniki had been holding the key to Aunt Nazi's room. She also collected that. Wait a sec. She's got all the master keys on her person. Nazi's own key was locked up inside this room. Doesn't that make it another closed room? So wait, is this the 4th closed room? Now that the suspicions surrounding those 3 had been cleared, we returned to the parlor once more. I don't have a clue what's going on anymore. If only the dead are innocent and everyone alive is a wolf, that leaves only me, Aunt Rosa, Maria, and Genji-san. And besides us, there is only Grandfather and the 19th person, The guests we've seen no trace of, Beatrice. 13 people have died, and 6 are left. How would a wolves and sheep puzzle with only 6 people end? Even though the puzzle that started with 19 people has been reduced to 6, I can't think of an answer. Hi, Cuddly. I'm gonna go on a bit. Hey, no, a bit longer. And I think next time I'll probably finish episode 2, but it's pretty close to the end, I think. I'm not sure, it might drag on for a little while. And I do want to get in a good amount of Cataclysm today, so I'll do just a little more. We returned to the parlor. I was a bit worried that, while we were gone, a creepy magic circle or something might have been drawn on the parlor door, but thankfully we didn't find anything like that. Thank you, Genji-san. This is far enough. Please rest for the day. Certainly. Then, please excuse me. Hey, Aunt Rosa, are you saying you'll leave Genji-san alone in a situation like this? That's right. I do think it's quite dangerous. But in that case, why is he safe? After those 3 headed to Natsune-san's room, he was alone the whole time. And yet he's safe. It's a wolves and sheep puzzle. Why would a sheep be safe if it was all alone, and therefore in its weakest possible position? But probably because, by coincidence, there weren't any wolves around. Wrong. It's because it wasn't a sheep. Are you saying Genji-san's a wolf? He said he was alone in the kitchen, but that's impossible to prove. The only ones who could have carried Dr. Najo and Kurosawa-san's corpses, who could have killed George and the rest, were him and Beatrice, right? But wait, without argument, anyone... Valor-sama, thank you for your concern. I believe trust is won not with 100 excuses, but with simple faithfulness. Even if I'm not able to gain your trust, I should be faithful until the end. Genji-san. Then we're decided. If you truly are innocent, the police will prove that for us when they come tomorrow. So until then, we cannot remove you from suspicion. After your long years of service, I find it truly painful to treat you so poorly. Please understand about tonight. And when tomorrow comes, please let us make up again. Genji-san gave his head a small shake. Today and tomorrow, I will continue to be a servant of the Ishimura family. If you need anything, please say so at any time. Then, if you will excuse me. After hearing all that, there was nothing left to say. Genji-san bowed deeply and left down the hall. Is Rosa gonna shit-talk him again? Then, we entered the room. Even though Aunt Rosa still held all the master keys herself, she thoroughly checked the inside of the parlor again. She opened the curtains and checked again to make sure the windows were locked. As I watched, how should I say it, I felt like it didn't really matter anymore. If I said anything careless, it would turn into another fight. For a while, I gazed at her from the corridor, figured I'd waited out just about long enough, and entered the parlor behind her. If she doesn't trust anyone but the dead, why doesn't she just go around killing everyone with the gun she's got in her hand? And at the end, she'll realize that she herself is the wolf. Then she can just blast through the head of the final wolf and close the curtain of this insane murder drama. As I thought that bitterly, I returned to the sofa where I'd been camped before, rudely resting both my feet on the table. When I tried to do that, I found something there and stopped moving my feet. What is this? Right there, almost as though it had been addressed to me, was a Western envelope. It was that envelope from before with the seal of the one-winged eagle. And it was unopened. Probably a good place to stop Umineko. So, a bit short. I only did like an hour. It's because, like I said earlier, I only have another 3 or so hours before I have to leave today and go out to the DMV. So, I want to have a lot of time for Cataclysm, and Umineko could potentially take like another hour and a half or 2 hours to wrap up, depending on how long episode 2 drags on for at the end. And I would be sad if I could only play like a little bit of Cataclysm. So, let's see here.